It's the peculiar recognition that's most unsettling, not a direct acknowledgement, but that sense of almost knowing me. The boy once mocked as an alien for his profound stutter, who found his voice on stage and became a globally adored comedic icon, is Rowan Atkinson. Yet, this remarkable metamorphosis exacted a toll. He observed that his speech impediment vanished entirely during performances, but only then. Every portrayal of Mr. Bean left him emotionally depleted. He found the character utterly draining and eagerly anticipated the conclusion of each filming. The man who elicited peals of laughter from millions confessed to feeling like an imposter. Now, at the age of 70, he is finally sharing the profound impact his childhood adversities had on shaping his life and career. The comedian, renowned for his silent expressions, has at last found the courage to narrate his own journey. Rowan Sebastian Atkinson entered the world on the 6th of January 1955 in Consett, a modest township in County Durham, England. He was the youngest of 4 sons, but a shadow fell over his family before he could form memories, when his eldest brother Paul passed away as an infant, leaving 3 boys. One of Rowan's siblings, Rodney, later pursued a career in economics and was a contender for leadership of the UK Independence Party in the year 2000. Growing up on a farm instilled in Rowan a life of considerable quietude and strict routine. Paradoxically, he would eventually achieve renown for embodying boisterous and eccentric characters. Around the age of 5, Rowan began experiencing a severe stutter, struggling to articulate words with fluency, which rendered his school years exceptionally challenging. He attended the Durham Chorister School, where the bullying was exceptionally cruel. Canon John Grove, a member of the school's staff, recalled Rowan as a reserved child, with a remarkably expressive face and a significant speech impediment. Some of his schoolmates even likened him to an extraterrestrial due to his manner of speaking and his appearance. Consequently, Rowan spent much of his time in solitude. Among his peers at that institution was Tony Blair, who would later ascend to the position of Prime Minister. Tony, being 2 years younger, remembered the considerable difficulties Rowan faced. The relentless bullying was so severe that it was documented in a 2007 article published in The Independent. However, something extraordinary occurred. Whenever Rowan stepped onto a stage, his stutter would completely dissipate. He could perform with absolute ease and without any impediment. That painful chapter of his youth became the very catalyst for his exceptional talent. Despite the relentless taunting, Rowan excelled academically. He attained exceptional grades in his science A-levels and secured admission to Newcastle University in 1973. At the young age of 18, he embarked on his studies in electrical and electronic engineering. Most anticipated he would forge a path as a scientist or engineer rather than a comedian. He successfully completed his degree in 1975 at the age of 20. Following this, he emulated his father's academic trajectory, matriculating at the Queen's College, Oxford, to pursue a master's degree. His Master of Science program focused on a highly complex field known as self-tuning control systems. He even commenced work on a doctoral dissertation, though he ultimately did not complete it, feeling a distinct pull in a different direction. His academic advisor, Chris Robson, once remarked that Rowan did not particularly stand out in his classes, but the moment he took to the stage, he underwent a complete transformation. It was at this juncture that his genuine metamorphosis commenced. While undertaking his postgraduate studies at Oxford in 1975, Rowan became involved with the university's drama society and a satirical troupe named the Etceteras. It was during this period that he encountered a burgeoning writer named Richard Curtis, an encounter that would profoundly alter the trajectories of both their lives. Richard witnessed Rowan's performance for the first time at a rehearsal in early 1976. He later recounted seeing a quiet, rather amusingly featured young man standing to the side. However, when Rowan finally took the stage to perform, Richard was utterly captivated. Rowan delivered a sketch centered on driving and executed a comedic bit involving miming while simultaneously speaking. Richard described it as sheer brilliance. Later that same year, in August 1976, Rowan performed with the Oxford Revue at the Edinburgh Festival Fringe, marking his inaugural performance before a substantial national audience. The show was met with considerable success, and Rowan's future path became unequivocally clear. He was no longer merely an aspiring engineer, but a bona fide performer. In 1975, while still enrolled at Oxford, Rowan officially commenced his master's degree in electrical engineering. His research was rigorous, and he formally submitted his thesis in 1978. Yet he found himself dedicating progressively more time to acting. The stark dichotomy between the disciplines of engineering and comedy presented a complex challenge. Nevertheless, his foundational understanding of engineering remained with him throughout his life. Years later, he would distinguish himself as one of the pioneering celebrities to embrace electric vehicles, acquiring his first hybrid model 18 years prior to the year 2023 and his first fully electric car 9 years before that same year. He also leveraged his technical expertise to articulate cogent critiques of electric vehicle technology and prevalent environmental claims. Despite these diverse pursuits, it was unequivocally evident that his profound passion lay in comedy. The theatrical stage had become his true sanctuary. His initial significant breakthrough arrived in 1979 with the creation of a radio program entitled The Atkinson People for BBC Radio 3. In this series, he embodied a variety of fictional characters, including Sir Corin Basin and the French philosopher Georges Dupont. Richard Curtis contributed to the writing, and Griff Rhys-Jones served as the producer. Although the program was both witty and intelligent, it garnered a modest listenership. Its broadcast slot was not ideally suited for comedy, resulting in limited exposure. Nevertheless, critics recognized his considerable talent. The production was recorded in stereo sound, a technical characteristic shared with The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. Although it did not propel him to widespread fame, it unequivocally demonstrated Rowan's readiness for more significant opportunities. The period between 1978 and 1979 proved to be exceptionally challenging. The BBC repeatedly declined his submissions. They simply did not grasp his unique brand of humor. He experienced profound feelings of displacement and despondency. His stutter worsened during interviews and auditions, further compounding his difficulties. At one point, he seriously contemplated abandoning his comedic aspirations and returning to the field of engineering. However, a pivotal realization shifted his perspective entirely. He discovered that when he assumed a character, his stutter would vanish without a trace. This revelation imbued him with a sense of empowerment. He no longer needed to achieve perfect speech as himself. He could delegate the vocal responsibilities to his characters. Rowan continued his collaborative endeavors with long-standing friends such as Angus Deaton, whom he had met during his university days at Oxford. They performed together on radio, with Angus frequently adopting the role of the grounded, serious counterpart, which allowed Rowan's more eccentric characters to truly shine. Angus would later appear in Mr. Bean and an episode of Blackadder. Their collaborative synergy provided Rowan with a crucial boost of confidence during a period when television networks were still largely unreceptive to his work. It afforded him the space to grow and develop without the immense pressure of constant on-camera exposure. In 1979, Rowan returned to the Edinburgh Fringe Festival, by then 24 years old. He was observed actively participating in the construction of the stage and clearing debris at the newly established Wireworks Theatre. His performance during this time was predominantly silent, reminiscent of the style of the silent film era icon Buster Keaton. While some attendees failed to comprehend the artistic intent and even departed, others recognized a profound and unique quality in his act. He employed his facial expressions and bodily movements in a manner rarely witnessed among comedians. That particular performance proved instrumental in connecting him with influential figures within the entertainment industry. By 1980, he resumed his efforts to break into television. He developed a pilot episode titled Canned Laughter, which was broadcast in 1979. In this early work, he portrayed multiple characters, including a rudimentary precursor to Mr. Bean. While the show exhibited cleverness, it was not commissioned as a full series. His stutter regrettably resurfaced during numerous auditions, intensifying the inherent stress of the process. Nevertheless, he began to internalize strategies for overcoming it. He immersed himself completely within his characters. By the time he made an appearance on Wogan in 1980, at the age of 25, he had perfected the art of concealing his stutter through his performance. This marked the turning point in his arduous struggle. From that moment forward, the world began to take notice of the unassuming, reserved young man who had artfully transformed personal adversity into universal laughter. Rowan Atkinson's life was irrevocably altered. In 1979, the BBC offered him a pivotal opportunity on a nascent comedy programme named Not the 9 O'Clock News. Originally slated for an April debut, its premiere was postponed due to a general election, as the BBC deemed the show potentially too politically charged for the prevailing climate. The inaugural episode finally aired on the 16th of October, 1979. However, the initial reception was far from auspicious. Viewer numbers were exceedingly low, with fewer than 1 million tuning in. Critics were overwhelmingly negative, with some labeling the program offensive and arguing it should never have been broadcast. Mel Smith, who would later become a close colleague, famously declared it the worst half-hour of television he had ever witnessed. Despite the scathing reviews, the BBC controller expressed a favourable opinion of the show and promptly commissioned a second series. This decision proved instrumental in salvaging the programme and ultimately establishing it as one of the most significant British comedy productions of all time. Rowan collaborated with Pamela Stephenson, Mel Smith, and Griff Rhys-Jones, all of whom subsequently achieved considerable fame. Behind the scenes, however, the atmosphere was far from harmonious. In 1980, after only a single series, the show's producer, Chris Langham, was dismissed. Rowan vehemently disagreed with this decision and made persistent efforts to persuade the producers to retain Chris, demonstrating his unwavering loyalty. Nevertheless, Chris was ultimately removed and replaced by Griff Rhys-Jones. The repercussions of this decision were so acrimonious that Chris refused to communicate with any of them for an extended period. Compounding these issues, the BBC began to curtail the show's budget. The situation became so dire that the team even incorporated a humorous jab at their financial constraints in an episode titled The Outrageously Expensive Not the 9 O'Clock News. Consequently, they were compelled to cease filming in prestigious locations and reduce the roles of supporting actors. During this juncture, Rowan's inherent seriousness and perfectionist tendencies began to manifest more prominently. The show's tonal direction also evolved, shifting away from overtly provocative humor towards a more refined and idiosyncratic comedic style. Clear indications of creative discord were evident behind the scenes. Then arrived the pivotal moment that would fundamentally alter Rowan's trajectory. In 1980, during the production of the second series, a sketch titled Gerald the Gorilla was aired. Mel Smith portrayed a professor who purported to have successfully trained a gorilla named Gerald. However, Gerald, depicted by Rowan in a gorilla costume, proved to be far more intelligent and volatile than anyone had anticipated. When the professor declared that he had captured Gerald in the wild in 1968, Gerald retorted with a furious outburst, exclaiming, "Wild, I was absolutely livid." But this line became instantly iconic. The sketch achieved such immense popularity that real-life scientists began humorously referring to groups of baboons as a flange, mirroring the terminology used in the sketch. This particular episode contributed significantly to the show's accolades, including the Silver Rose at the Montreux Festival in 1982 and the BAFTA Award for Best Light Entertainment Program. That singular sketch was instrumental in launching Rowan's career as a master of physical comedy and idiosyncratic humor, simultaneously paving the way for his subsequent iconic roles in Blackadder and Mr. Bean. In 1981, an even more unexpected development occurred. The show released a comedic song titled I Like Trucking as part of the album Hedgehog Sandwich. The song unexpectedly climbed the charts. Few anticipated that Rowan, who possessed no formal musical background, would feature on a charting single, yet he did. All 4 principal cast members contributed vocals to the track, and Rowan personally operated the truck in the accompanying sketch. He was not merely acting, he held a legitimate Class 1 lorry license at the time, a detail that lent an additional layer of authenticity and humor to the performance. The song was released as a standalone single under the BBC Records label and achieved sufficient popularity to be included on subsequent BBC compilation albums. It served as irrefutable evidence that Rowan's talents extended far beyond sketch comedy. He possessed a multifaceted capability encompassing singing, acting, driving, and entertaining across a diverse range of formats. However, by 1982, a somber shift occurred. The program concluded in March of that year, not due to dwindling ratings, but because the cast, including Rowan, had reached an unsustainable breaking point. They were utterly exhausted by the relentless pace, immense pressure, demanding writing schedules, taxing performances, and pervasive anxiety. The cumulative effect proved overwhelming. Rowan, in particular, was struggling profoundly. He had contended with anxiety for a considerable period, and the unrelenting workload had pushed him to his absolute limits. Consequently, rather than capitalizing on their success for financial gain or broader fame, they opted to step away. Pamela Stephenson relocated to Hollywood, while Rowan immediately embarked on filming Blackadder in 1983. Mel Smith and Griff Rhys-Jones subsequently launched their own program, Alas, Smith and Jones. The decision to conclude not the 9 o'clock news at the zenith of its popularity was a rare and significant one, underscoring Rowan's profound prioritization of mental well-being and artistic integrity over commercial considerations. On the 15th of June, 1983, Rowan unveiled Blackadder. It was an audacious concept. He co-created the series with Richard Curtis, the same individual with whom he had collaborated on Not the 9 O'Clock News. Their premise envisioned an alternate history where Richard III had emerged victorious at the Battle of Bosworth Field. Rowan assumed the role of Prince Edmund, a cunning and power-hungry son of King Richard IV. Filming took place at Alnwick Castle, employing elaborate sets and extensive costumes. The series represented a considerable gamble, with partial funding provided by Australia's Seven network. A humorous touch was added to the credits with the inscription "Additional Dialogue by William Shakespeare," a playful nod to their ambitious undertaking. While a significant creative leap, it was also exceptionally costly. The expenditures were so substantial that following the initial season, the BBC nearly terminated the production. Persistent rainfall consistently disrupted filming schedules, and the protracted shooting at the castle, coupled with the elaborate period costumes and extensive cast, resulted in a significant budget overrun. Initial reviews were not particularly favourable, with critics suggesting it lacked the comedic impact of Rowan's previous work. Only one factor ultimately salvaged the series: its reception of an International Emmy Award. This prestigious accolade provided the BBC with sufficient confidence to grant it a second opportunity. However, this renewal came with stringent conditions: no more castles, no more grand sets. The subsequent season was mandated to be more contained, cost-effective, and focused. This directive profoundly reshaped the series' future direction. In 1986, Blackadder 2 premiered, introducing a completely revamped approach. Ben Elton joined as a co-writer, infusing the series with more rapid-fire jokes and tighter narrative structures. They dispensed with expansive cinematic sequences, concentrating instead on character-driven moments. Rowan no longer had to share the limelight with prominent actors like Brian Blessed. He now carried the weight of the show. One of the most significant transformations was the casting. Miranda Richardson portrayed Queenie, a high-pitched and hilariously eccentric queen who quickly endeared herself to audiences. The series also featured memorable guest appearances, such as Tom Baker as the unforgettable Redbeard Rum. Rowan's character Edmund evolved into a sardonic and astute figure, while Baldric, who had previously displayed a degree of intelligence, devolved into the endearing simpleton that fans had come to adore. Initially, some longtime fans expressed disappointment. One critic even infamously dubbed Rowan Wally of the Week. However, public sentiment gradually shifted, and audiences came to appreciate that this revised iteration was even superior. The characters possessed greater depth, the humour was sharper, and the on-screen chemistry was impeccable. The final season, Blackadder Goes Forth, broadcast in 1989, evolved into something entirely unexpected. It was set within the grim trenches of World War I. Rowan portrayed Captain Blackadder, with Hugh Laurie as Lieutenant George and Tony Robinson as Private Baldric. The series masterfully balanced humour with profound seriousness, highlighting the futility of war without sacrificing its comedic elements. There were initial anxieties that satirizing World War I might be perceived as disrespectful, but the execution proved to be remarkably powerful. It garnered the award for Best Comedy Series at the 1990 BAFTAs, and Rowan also received recognition for Best Light Entertainment Performance. In the year 2000, the series was ranked 16th on the British Film Institute's compilation of the greatest British television shows of all time. Furthermore, in 2004, it secured the second position in a BBC poll to determine Britain's best sitcom, amassing over 282,000 votes. The concluding scene, depicting the soldiers charging into no man's land in slow motion, became one of the most emotionally resonant finales in television history. Behind the scenes, the cast operated with the cohesion of a family. Rowan, Hugh Laurie, and Stephen Fry frequently engaged in improvisational dialogue, a testament to their mutual trust and creative rapport. Rowan once remarked that this project was the least stressful undertaking of his career, attributing this to the shared responsibility. The pressure was not solely on his shoulders but distributed amongst the ensemble. Their collective chemistry created undeniable magic, and many of the improvised lines were retained in the final episodes. Rowan later reflected that the unique dynamic they shared in the 1980s was an inimitable experience, a truly special period. Then came the phenomenon of Mr. Bean. The inaugural episode aired on the 1st of January 1990 and captivated an audience of 13.45 million viewers. Rowan had conceived the character years earlier during his tenure as a student at Oxford. Mr. Bean's sparse dialogue made him an ideal figure for international audiences, leading to the show's distribution in 245 countries. One particular episode, The Trouble with Mr. Bean, was watched by 18.74 million people, solidifying its status as one of the most widely popular comedy programs globally. The reliance on physical comedy transcended linguistic barriers, allowing viewers worldwide to engage with the humor without requiring an understanding of English. However, beneath the surface of pervasive laughter lay a more somber reality. Rowan admitted that he did not derive pleasure from portraying Mr. Bean. The experience was intensely stressful and emotionally taxing. He described the weight of responsibility as immense and frequently found himself anticipating the conclusion of filming. Given the character's minimal speech, Rowan was compelled to convey every nuance through his physical performance and facial expressions, which exacted a significant emotional toll. What the world perceived as effortless comedy was in reality a deeply demanding performance for the artist involved. In 1997, Mr. Bean transitioned to the silver screen with the release of the film Bean. The movie achieved remarkable global success, grossing over $251 million worldwide, with more than $25 million originating from international markets. In Australia, it debuted at the #1 position, earning $3.1 million. In the United Kingdom, it shattered opening weekend records, generating $2.5 million. In Germany, it amassed over 12 million Deutsche Marks in its initial weekend. It rapidly became the fastest British film to reach the $100 million milestone, even preceding its release in the United States. However, this overwhelming success only exacerbated Rowan's sense of fatigue. He was already grappling with the demands of the character, and now the global appetite for more of Mr. Bean intensified the pressure. In 2002, he discovered a viable solution, the creation of Mr. Bean, the animated series. The series commenced its broadcast on the 2nd of March and continued until the 1st of November 2004, spanning a total of 52 episodes. This animated format provided a welcome respite. Rowan was only required to provide the vocal performances, eliminating the need for exhausting physical exertion. The show garnered significant popularity among younger audiences and subsequently moved to CITV. It introduced new characters while remaining faithful to the essence of the original. The animated rendition successfully preserved the enduring appeal of Mr. Bean without compromising Rowan's well-being. The series continued its production and remained in development through the year 2024. In 2012, Rowan reprised his role as Mr. Bean for a singular live performance during the London Olympics. He enacted a comedic segment during the iconic Chariots of Fire sequence, an event witnessed by 26.9 million viewers in the United Kingdom. Globally, an estimated 900 million people tuned in. It emerged as one of the most tweeted moments of the evening, yet the performance exacted a considerable personal toll on Rowan, leaving him feeling depleted for weeks afterward. Many now regard that particular moment as his final significant public appearance in the fully physical embodiment of Mr. Bean. Even beyond his seminal roles in Mr. Bean and Blackadder, Rowan continued to surprise audiences. In 1994, he portrayed a nervously bumbling priest in the film 4 Weddings and a Funeral. The movie, produced on a modest budget of $3 million, was filmed within 6 weeks and achieved an impressive box office gross of $245.7 million. His wedding scene, where he fumbles through the vows, became an instantly memorable moment. That relatively small role served as a crucial stepping stone in shaping his subsequent major character. In 2003, he starred in Johnny English, a comedic parody of the spy genre. The film garnered a worldwide revenue of $160 million against a production budget of $40 million. Its genesis can be traced back to his earlier advertisements for Barclaycard. In the film, he executed action sequences, performed dance routines, and showcased his distinctive physical comedy. The commercial success of Johnny English led to a sequel, Johnny English Reborn, released in 2011. This installment boasted a budget of $45 million, although its domestic gross in the United States was a more modest $8.3 million. International audiences, however, embraced it with enthusiasm. In 2018, Johnny English Strikes Again premiered in theaters. The narrative revolved around a cyber attack and widespread digital surveillance. Rowan ingeniously incorporated his practical engineering background, acquired during his studies at Oxford, to lend a greater depth and authenticity to his portrayal of the titular spy. The film expertly balanced nostalgic spy tropes with contemporary concerns about technological security, resonating with audiences apprehensive about online safety. In 2005, Rowan ventured into different territory with the film Keeping Mum, in which he played a pastor navigating complex family dynamics. The film unfortunately did not resonate with audiences or critics. It was perceived as excessively dark by some and uncharacteristically peculiar by others. This commercial and critical disappointment prompted Rowan to temporarily withdraw from film production. He subsequently took a 2-year hiatus, dedicating his time to live performances and television projects before making a robust return with Johnny English Reborn. Rowan Atkinson first encountered Sunetra Sastry in the late 1980s. She was working as a makeup artist on the BBC series Blackadder. Rowan reportedly went to considerable lengths, switching makeup artists specifically to facilitate conversation with her. This move caused a degree of quiet disappointment for his co-star Stephen Fry, who had also harbored intentions of asking her out. However, Rowan acted decisively and secured her attention first. They fell deeply in love and subsequently married on the 5th of February 1990 at the Russian Tea Room in New York. Stephen Fry served as his best man. Together they were blessed with 2 children, their daughter Lily, born in 1993, and their son Benjamin, born in 1995. Their union endured for a period of 24 years. However, their relationship underwent a significant shift in 2014. In that year, Rowan and Sunetra separated. Their divorce was finalized in November 2015. In court documents, Sunetra cited Rowan's unreasonable behavior as grounds for the divorce. Concurrently, Rowan had discreetly initiated a relationship with another woman, Louise Ford, who was considerably younger than him. The media reacted with sensational headlines, and Sunetra was deeply hurt by the revelation that she was being replaced by someone so much younger. A particularly harrowing incident in Rowan's life occurred in March 2001. While traveling through Kenya with his relatives, the private pilot of their aircraft suddenly lost consciousness during flight. Rowan, who had no prior experience piloting a plane, took the controls and successfully stabilized the aircraft. He maintained control until the pilot regained consciousness and could safely land the plane in Nairobi. At the time of this incident, Rowan was 46 years old. This remarkable event revealed a side of the man known for playing Mr. Bean that few had anticipated. In reality, he demonstrated remarkable composure and ensured everyone's safety. Though he rarely discusses the emotional impact of the experience, that flight could have culminated in a tragedy had he not acted with such swiftness. In October of 2012, Rowan delivered a speech in Parliament that considerably surprised many listeners. His address focused on the principle of freedom of expression. For 9 minutes, he passionately defended the right to articulate views, even if those views might be perceived as offensive by some. He argued that the threshold for what is deemed offensive had become too low, and that individuals should be permitted to express themselves freely. This speech rapidly gained traction online, accumulating over 140,000 views within a mere few days. However, his stance was not universally accepted. Certain LGBTQ+ organizations and progressive advocates accused him of advocating for hate speech. Nevertheless, the legal landscape did shift. The segment of the Public Order Act that prohibited offensive language was subsequently repealed. It became evident that Rowan was more than just a comedic figure. He held firm convictions and possessed the courage to voice them. In 2013, while engaged in a theatrical production titled Quatermain's Terms, Rowan embarked on a new romantic relationship. He was 58 years old at the time, and his co-star, Louise Ford, was 31. Miss Ford concluded her relationship with comedian James Acaster to be with Rowan. Their significant age difference, 27 years, led to considerable public commentary, with many labelling it a scandal. The news of their relationship became public in 2014, coinciding with Rowan's separation from Sunitra. Both the media and the public offered harsh judgments. Rowan, however, remained reticent on the matter, once remarking, "The only thing more important than not discussing your personal life is not explaining why you're not discussing it." In December of 2017, Louise gave birth to their daughter, Isola. Rowan experienced fatherhood once again at the age of 62. Rowan had long been recognized as an advocate for environmental causes. From the 1980s onwards, he had driven electric and hybrid vehicles and voiced concerns about climate change. However, in June of 2023, he published an article in The Guardian that generated considerable astonishment. Titled, "I Love Electric Vehicles," it conveyed a surprising sentiment. He stated that while he had been an early adopter of electric vehicles, he increasingly felt misled. In the article, he posited that electric cars actually contribute 70% more greenhouse gas emissions during their manufacturing process compared to conventional vehicles. He specifically criticized the battery technology employed in electric cars. This article garnered widespread attention across conservative media outlets, including Fox Business. Environmental scientists expressed their dismay, contending that his assertions were inaccurate. It subsequently came to light that Rowan possessed an extensive collection of high-performance vehicles, including rare models from McLaren and Aston Martin. His article was even cited by Parliament as a potential factor in the decline of electric vehicle sales throughout the United Kingdom. Critics asserted that he was indirectly supporting fossil fuel industries while simultaneously maintaining a lifestyle with a substantial carbon footprint. When Disney approached him in 1994 with an offer to voice Zazu in The Lion King, Rowan was initially hesitant. He expressed a dislike for voice acting roles, yet he ultimately accepted the part, and his vocal performance became a standout element of the film. The Lion King achieved global box office earnings of $968.5 million, becoming Disney's highest-grossing traditionally animated feature. Despite not performing any of the musical numbers, his portrayal of Zazu was immensely popular. He did not reprise his role for the 2019 remake, which went on to gross $1.6 billion. Fans expressed their disappointment at his absence. This instance exemplifies a peculiar situation where a project he was reluctant to undertake became one of the most successful ventures of his career. In 2018, during an appearance on The Graham Norton Show, Rowan made a surprising confession. He admitted that the process of filming was exceptionally challenging and emotionally draining, stating that he often felt his efforts were insufficient. Back in 2012, he had indicated to The Telegraph his intention to retire the character of Mr. Bean. He had suggested that seeing someone in their 50s behave in a childlike manner could appear somewhat melancholic. However, in 2016, he revised his stance, declaring that he had no intention of retiring the character. Then, in 2018, he shifted his position once more, indicating that a return for Mr. Bean was improbable, but adding the caveat, "You must never say never." This vacillation left fans perplexed, yet it underscored the profound difficulty he experienced in detaching himself from the character that propelled him to stardom. While Mr. Bean brought immense pleasure to millions, for Rowan it also entailed significant pressure and eventual burnout. In 2022, Rowan returned to the realm of physical comedy with a Netflix series titled Man vs. Bee. In this show, he portrayed Trevor, a house-sitter tasked with eliminating a solitary bee. Each of the 9 episodes had a duration ranging from 10 to 20 minutes. Although the premise appeared light-hearted, the filming proved physically taxing for him. Rowan, then 67 years old, engaged in stunts reminiscent of his Mr. Bean days. He recounted that during a previous film, Mr. Bean's Holiday, even a simple bicycle scene had left him completely exhausted. He acknowledged his lack of athleticism, stating he had never been physically adept. Man vs. Bee represented a return to his signature style, but it also served as a stark reminder that his body could no longer endure the same intensity of physical comedy. On the 6th of January 2025, Rowan celebrated his 70th birthday. Born in Newcastle upon Tyne, he had been entertaining audiences for over 45 years. His milestone birthday sparked considerable online discussion. Fans shared their favorite clips and conveyed their well wishes, while many also pondered the possibility of his imminent retirement. Rowan himself had previously expressed that performing physical comedy becomes increasingly demanding with age. He appeared more amenable to reducing his workload. Some believed it was an opportune moment for him to definitively conclude the Mr. Bean era. By September of 2025, the official Mr. Bean YouTube channel had amassed over 12.01 billion views and garnered 35.1 million subscribers. It generated revenue between $77,000 and $232,000 on a monthly basis. Daily, it attracted between 1.5 and 2.3 million views. The character's fan base spanned the globe, from Tokyo to Mumbai to Sao Paulo. Prominent comedians, such as Sacha Baron Cohen, have acknowledged Mr. Bean's stylistic influence on their work. Comedy schools now incorporate what is termed the Atkinson method into their curriculum. This approach emphasizes simple, silent comedy that transcends linguistic barriers. Rowan began to be referred to as the 21st century Charlie Chaplin. His stature transcended that of a mere British actor. He became a global icon. In September of 2024, a long-standing fan theory concerning Mr. Bean was officially confirmed. For years, the belief persisted that he was, in fact, an extraterrestrial being. This theory was substantiated within the animated episode titled Double Trouble, where Mr. Bean encounters replicas of himself aboard a spacecraft. Screen Rant reported that the show definitively established his non-terrestrial origin. Even the opening sequence of the original series provided a subtle hint, with Bean descending from the sky amidst a Latin chant that declared, "Behold the man who is a bean." His designation as Mr. lacked a given name, suggesting an alien unfamiliarity with human naming conventions. Rowan had subtly alluded to this possibility once in 1993, but it has now become an integral part of the character's narrative. While fans were taken aback, they were also enthralled by the revelation of this truth. Despite his persistent self-doubt, Rowan's collection of accolades is undeniably impressive. He has received 12 significant awards and been nominated 18 times. In 1981, he was honored with a BAFTA for Not the 9 O'Clock News and a Laurence Olivier Award for Rowan Atkinson in Review. In 1990, he won the award for Best Light Entertainment Performance for Blackadder Goes Forth. The Mr. Bean series alone earned him 4 BAFTA nominations between 1991 and 1994. He also received an International Emmy Award. Nevertheless, Rowan consistently maintains that he does not perceive himself as successful, engaging in constant self-examination. However, for his global fan base, there is no question that he is counted among the greatest performers of all time.